Oh, this is just going to start without me. Hello, welcome. My name is Lori, if you're new here, and I am doing. Some people do like weekly vlogs. Mine is like monthly because I don't do a lot of things, and so I don't have a lot to report to you until the end of the month. So I ended up reading two books for this vlog. One was Wolfsong by TJ Klune, and the other was Rouge by Awad. I don't have either of them now because I returned them to the library. So we'll just get started. Do some random stuff, read some random books. That's all I got. I got my ring pop and I got my yellow jacket shirt, so I'm winning at life at the moment. I finally was able to get my medication thing sorted out from last month, and now there's another issue with another medication. Maybe winning at life is not the correct term as to what's happening in my life right now. It's just so ridiculous that you have to laugh about it because it's so silly and it's so horrifying, because when I don't take this medication, the new one that they're having issues filling, is I get physically ill. So that's fun. I got these new shoes that are just massive and they're fun, and I want to wear them to work because I don't go anywhere on the weekends, but they squeak a lot when you move, like when you walk on the floor. So I need to figure out how to stop that because it's annoying. But I'm also afraid that I'm just going to fall over in the warehouse if I try and wear them. Everybody watching Yellow Jackets because I am obsessed. I've been obsessed with it ever since I think season 2 was airing when I started watching it. And Lottie is my favorite, clearly. I have a little action figure of her on my bookshelf because she's crazy and I love it. So yeah, I've been kind of obsessed with that. They're currently airing season 3. It's a show about cannibalism. Well, it's not really that much about cannibalism. It's about a soccer team that goes into that plane crashes in the Canadian wilderness, and it goes between them as teens and them as adults, and they're just all kinds of fucked up, which is fair. I would be too. But I am obsessed. It's wonderful. And there's a new episode airing tomorrow. Goodness. I have a tattoo appointment tomorrow, so I'll probably take you there. It's finally not winter outside any longer. It's like 40 or 50 degrees outside, so I can actually wear a dress because it's on my leg. It's going to be some mushrooms with some foliage. I'm really excited about it, but it's above my knee, and I'm a little worried because I'm such a baby. Like when the tattoo is happening, it's not too bad, but like I psych myself out of it. Like I'm like, oh, this is going to be the most pain. And I have at least 13 tattoos now. And some of them are pretty small, but I've got some bigger ones. Like I've got this one. That was a breeze. It was the easiest tattoo I've ever gotten, except maybe this one. I was wearing this shirt last time I filmed, but today I have this pretty skirt that you can't see because I'm too short. I finally got a tattoo. It's been a year since I got my last tattoo, and it was of my dog. And this one is of some foliage and some mushrooms. I'll put it right here because it's on my leg. You can't see it. And I'm not moving this camera. It's just mushrooms and foliage, and it's so cute. It's so pretty, and I love it so much. And it is also a little bit of a not another D&D podcast tattoo, because one of the characters, actually, hold on. This character right here, Moonshine, is one of my favorite characters on that podcast. One of my favorite characters on one of my favorite podcasts. And her whole thing is mushrooms. She wants to spread mushrooms throughout the Bohemia, which is the continent that they live on. And so it was a little bit of that and a little bit of just mushrooms are cute, and I wanted to just have something cute on my thigh above my knee. Let's talk about what I'm reading right now. I got 2 books from the library yesterday. No, not yesterday. The day before. What day is it? I have no idea. First one I got was Rouge by Mona Awad. And look, this book has been destroyed. It's like not even a year old. I don't know who destroyed this book, but it saddens me. This book is about a girl named Mirabelle. I didn't even have to look at it. Girl named Mirabelle. Her mother calls her Belle, and her mother falls off a cliff and dies, but it's like mysterious circumstances, kind of. And Mirabelle is also obsessed with skincare and discovers this mysterious place that her mother also went to that has like miraculous skincare remedies and stuff like that. I haven't gotten too far into it, but it's weird. I assumed it was going to be weird because I read Bunny, and that was a weird book as well. I also got Wolfsong by TJ Klune. This is the person who wrote House on the Cerulean Sea, which is a book that I really loved until I learned a little bit more about the author and his reasonings behind why he wrote The House on the Cerulean Sea. But I haven't heard anything bad about this book, so I'm hoping it's okay. I don't know. Is it weird to be reading this book? Do we hate that guy now? I don't know. I honestly don't know. So I got it from the library instead of buying it. So yeah, those are the two books. Well, I haven't started Wolfsong yet, but I probably will because I might need a break from from Rouge because it's a little weird. It's a thriller, and so I don't read a lot of thrillers, so I may take my time with that one. Okay, bye. The tallest baby. They both want to go outside. I think. Yeah. What are you gonna do? Get the cat. Get the cat. Get the cat. Hank away? Yeah, sure. So I feel it's one time. Okay, let's do a little bit of a reading update. I'm in the middle of two books. Right here. I'm in the middle of reading Wolfsong by TJ Klune and Rouge by Mona Awad, and these are both a little weird. I was expecting that from Rouge by Mona Awad because I read Bunny, and I just kind of assume all of her books are a little weird. I'm not super far into that one, but we gotta talk about this book. We gotta talk about it. It's a werewolf book, so it's going to be a lot of trauma because there's a lot of trauma in werewolf books. Nobody can be happy in these books. And so this book is no exception. It reads kind of like 2007 when all of the werewolf and vampire books were coming out and that kind of thing. So it's a little silly, but at the same time, it's also everybody is unhappy and traumatized. So this follows a boy named Ox who is a teenager. His trauma is that his father left him when he was a kid, like 16. Then a family moves across the road or down the road from where he lives. They are the Bennetts, and there's something strange about them, but he doesn't actually realize that, even though there's a lot of signs that there's something weird about them. He even mentions that in the book that he's like, I probably should have realized that something was going on, but whatever. And I discovered in this book that this is an age gap romance. Yeah, I'm gonna put this up. I feel icky a little bit about age gap romances. Not like with older characters. Like I feel like once you're in your 30s, it doesn't really matter. The older you are, the less age gap romances, it's whatever. But if you know the kid when he's 10 years old and you're 16, and then you somehow find out that you're romantically interested in him when he comes back when he's like 20, I don't know. There's something about that. I don't like it. The thing that really bothers me is that they've known each other since they were kids. Okay, I made it to page 250 of Wolfsong by TJ Klune. This book I was wrong about. Not the age gap part of it, but I thought that they didn't get romantically involved until they were in their 20s, and that is not the case. The main character Ox starts having feelings for Joe, who is the younger one, when Joe is still 17. And Joe is, no, Ox is like 23 or something like that. Which I thought was a weird choice. I don't understand why they didn't just wait until Joe was 18 to have the romance start. I mean, they don't do anything. They clearly wait until he's 18, or I assume that's what happens. They say that they're going to wait until he's 18. So, but the story also took a turn. Kind of just a romance and Ox being part of the pack in, even though he's a human, and him discovering all of these family members that he has, even though he just has his mom, he has a family in the Bennetts and in the people he works with and all that stuff. But then it took a turn. Like, I was expecting some action because it's a fantasy book, and typically when there's werewolves, there's going to be violence. But it went further than I thought it was going to go. It got pretty violent. Some people died. It was kind of sad. So yeah, they're kind of dealing with that now, the aftermath. And yeah, I think there's a time jump at some point. There's weird time jumps. And I think part of the problem is that there's time jumps. And so you see Joe when he's 11 in the beginning, and there's a period of time where he and Ox get to know each other, and Joe clearly has feelings for Ox, but Ox doesn't feel the same way. And then it jumps time, and suddenly Joe is a teenager, but he still feels like he's 10 because, or 11, because there was a time jump. Like, you don't really get a lot of time to see him as a teenager before he starts being romantically involved with someone who's 23. So I think that's my biggest issue with it. We'll see how it goes when they do a time jump and they're a little bit older, see if it feels a little bit different, or if it continues to feel kind of weird. So yeah, that's my update. Okay, I finished Wolfsong by TJ Klune. Honestly, problematic things aside, I found it to be a little predictable of a book, but that could just be because I read a lot of vampire and werewolf things back in 2007. So it could be that it just kind of follows the formula that a lot of other vampire books, not vampire, werewolf books follow. And so, I found it a little predictable, but I found it really enjoyable. A lot of the banter was really funny. I enjoyed the coworkers that he had at the garage that Ox worked at. I thought they were a lot of fun and brought a lot of levity to some of the more dramatic scenes. And I liked the characters overall. I think my biggest problem, apart from the obvious, is that it was very redundant with reassuring, like, Ox has a lot of self-esteem issues, which is fair. His father was not a great person and gave him a lot of self-esteem issues, but he gets told a lot of times that he's perfect and like he is doing everything right and things like that. And everybody's always reminding each other about their family and their pack and like all of this stuff. And I'm like, I get it. You guys like each other. But it was overall a pretty fun book. I think I'll probably read the second one. I heard there's an ace character in the third book, which I always love a book that has an ace character. So I'll probably continue the series just to see how that'll go. And yeah, next I'm going to continue Rouge by Mona Awad, and that's it's kind of a big change in book type and genre, going from werewolves to weird supernatural skincare. So I'll talk to you then. Goodbye. Trying to do this thing where I step out of my normal routine, which is very scary for me. I don't do it often. I don't like it. It stresses me out. But I'm trying to do this thing where I want to read some more books and I want to reread some books. But I don't want these videos to just be books that I've reread, because that's not very exciting. So I'm trying to read outside of my normal reading time, which is between 7:30 and 9. And I'm trying to read earlier in the day, but it stresses me out and I'm finding it hard to do that. But also I wanted to reread one book because reading TJ Klune's Wolfsong made me want to read the best of werewolf literature. This one. I've had this book since I was 15. I started reading it. There's now 14 novels in the series, and I want to read them all over again because reading the other book just made me want to read this one instead. And before you say, hey, Lori, your whole thing about Wolfsong was that you didn't like age gap, but there's an age gap romance in this one. I'm like, yeah, I get that, but she's also in her 20s. That's fine. She's not 10, so don't judge me. How many days of filming can I wear this yellow jacket shirt? I think at the moment it's 3. It's because I've been recording over the last 3 weeks, and I wear the same things often. I wash them in between, so. But I just happen to film every time I'm wearing this shirt. Maybe I just film on Wednesdays or Thursdays because I have a tendency to wear the same clothes on the same day. Anyway. Oh, I am a little over halfway through Rouge by Mona Awad. And this book has gotten so weird. And I would expect nothing less because Mona Awad, to me, is the queen of weird books. And she is, the main character, Mirabelle, is going through these treatments in this mysterious mansion. And as she's going through the treatment, she has these memories that she kind of trades for the treatment. And she is going back she goes back and thinks about her childhood, and Tom Cruise is there for some reason, but he says his name is Seth. I don't know. I don't know what it all means. I'm hoping it all makes sense at the end, but I honestly don't hold out too much hope. So it's pretty entertaining for now. I'm invested in the child timeline and also in her getting the treatments themselves. And I just want to know what's going on. And I hope it all gets explained in the end. Yeah, I finally finished Rouge by Mona Awad. I ended up giving that 3 stars. I don't know if I even said how much I gave Wolfsong. I think I gave Wolfsong 3.5, if I'm remembering correctly. I give Rouge 3 stars because I thought it was weird, which was what I was expecting. I mean, if you're going to read a Mona Awad book, you got to expect that it's going to be a little weird. I didn't think it was as weird as Bunny, but it all came together in the end. It all mostly made sense. And, you know, I liked how it talked about mother-daughter relationships and how you kind of will inherit traits from your mother. Like you see her doing skincare and hating herself in the way that she looks. You may inherit that kind of viewpoint because you see it growing up your entire life, that it becomes a part of you. And I like that it talked about the beauty industry and how far you can go with it and how you can end up hurting yourself. Like even in the beginning, she's using like these acids and stuff to put stuff on her face, and like it burns and it hurts, and she thinks it's worth it because she wants to be beautiful. So I liked what it had to say, but often it was pretty repetitive. Like she had to go through 3 treatments in this mysterious facility, and she ends up doing 3 treatments and kind of goes through the same motions after every treatment. So I didn't like how repetitive it was. And also, it went back to things about her childhood, and that part was a little confusing. It was a little strange. You know, I was kind of expecting it, but it wasn't my favorite. But it was still pretty good. I liked what it had to say. Those are the 2 books that I read, and I ended up going to the library. I returned those 2 books, which is why I don't have the physical copy of Rouge, but I ended up getting 3 new books, and they all were fantasy books. I know that's not my typical genre. Typically, I talk about literary fiction here, but yeah, I decided to pick up some fantasy books. So let's talk about them. This book that I got that I have already started reading, I'm not quite halfway through, is God Killer by Hannah Canner. Canner? I'm so bad at names. This is about a country where gods are illegal, and so they are typically killed on sight. The king basically outlawed them after a war, and they now hire god killers in order to get rid of all of these gods. And we follow Kissen. Yeah, Kissen, who ended up losing her entire family to the war and the war between the gods. And so now she is going around killing gods and doing that for fun and doing that for revenge and for money. And she comes across this girl who is attached to a god somehow. Like if they get too far apart from each other, they feel pain and that kind of thing. And so all gods need a shrine in order to exist, and this god doesn't have one. And so she's trying to figure out the best way to kill this god without killing the kid in the meantime. So far, it's really good. It's pretty short, but I've been enjoying it a lot. There's a lot of action to it, a lot of action scenes, and it's been a while since I've read a book that's had a lot of action to it. Wolfsong kind of did, but yeah, this one has more medieval knights fighting and brawls in taverns, which I just love. As a Dungeons and Dragons fan, I'm a huge fan of fights and brawls in taverns. Okay, the next book that I got was The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. I was actually looking for a different Robert Jackson Bennett book, but they didn't have it, so I went with this one instead. I know everybody has already read this book, but I haven't. So this is kind of a fantasy mystery book where the empire is kind of contained, and then outside of that border is really dangerous, and there's contagions. And there's strange magic and all kinds of things. So everybody stays within the boundaries. And there's a murder that happens, and 2 people basically try and solve that murder. I don't know if this is a romance. What does it say? It says it's a mystery. So it's mostly a mystery. I don't know if this has romance in it. Knowing the current state of literature, I wouldn't be surprised if this does have romance in it, because I feel like every book does. The last book that I have, everybody has also read this one. I'm behind on the game. I spent a lot of time reading young adult novels when I was younger, and so I haven't read a lot of the adult novels, and then I've just been kind of playing catch up ever since. But this is Jade City by Fonda Lee. This is like a mafia book that I've heard. Yeah, this is kind of like, it's The Godfather with magic and kung fu. Which sounds pretty fun. I've never seen The Godfather because I haven't seen a lot of popular movies, but it seems like there's a new drug that emerges and it leads to a clan war. So that's pretty interesting and exciting. I've heard this is pretty actiony. I don't know if this one has romance in it either, just as it's fantasy. So the blurb doesn't even say who the main character is. So yeah, this is a trilogy. And it's pretty big, so it'll probably take me a couple of weeks to finish it, but I'm pretty excited. Okay, that's all I have, and I'll see you next time. I'll probably see you for the March wrap-up. I'm not prepared for it to be the end of March, but here we are. So hopefully I can read all 3 of these books, and I'll see you then. Bye!